Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Molten Truth. I am your host, Zoe Michaels. And if you've been paying attention, you know this is our second season. This is our second episode where we're shifting gears. Last season we spoke primarily with writers and business owners. This year we are shifting gears to speak more with artists such as Kimberly, who's joined us. She is a musician, she's an award winning musician. And we just look forward to hearing about her, what inspires her to write her music, and just for her to share about her work in the industry. And just this is our chance to kind of go behind the scenes. Kimberly, thank you for joining us on our show. I just look forward to us having a good time chatting it up.
Thank you, Zoe. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, have you how early in life did you start thinking about being a music artist? I guess that's the number one question that I think any fan would want to ask.
I didn't really think about writing music until I was like 31.
Okay.
But there's a big but. I've been playing the piano for about 30 years.
Okay.
So I've really enjoyed that a lot. I took lessons 8 years. I had a couple different teachers. So I love to write and sing. Don't get me wrong. I still think playing the piano is probably my favorite part.
Okay.
But yeah.
Very cool. So, what were your early inspirations, or maybe who were your early inspirations?
I have several.
That's okay. We got time.
She's like, we have a few minutes. Well, as far as the gospel part of it, I grew up Christian and Baptist. I'm gonna get that out of the way right away,
Mhm.
just because I'm pretty vocal about my faith. I won't get into all that today unless you want to go there.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
kidding.
really try to stay away from religion and politics. I understand
Well,
that's an influence, but that's about where it ends.
sure. What? No, I'm just saying that because of church
Mhm.
influenced me in a lot of the gospel music and the hymn playing and
Mhm.
piano,
Mhm.
and that's where I do a lot of that. But other artists, I can name a lot. Of course, the countryside. Some of them are the males because, well, first of all, I like their voice and like their music and their style, like John Michael Montgomery. These are the old style from,
Yeah, like the
way more than
90s.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Um, and I remember being a teenager singing them when I'm like in driver's ed. So, yeah, I may talk about country and gospel back and forth is because I do both, but
Mhm.
we won't get into religion. Don't worry. That'd be a whole nother day topic another time.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying gospel and Christian because there's a big range with that, like Chris Tomlin, Meredith Andrews. Um, there's some you may have never heard of, and then there's some famous groups that I've just heard about for a couple years ago. But all that to say, there's a lot. The Rochester family, they actually sing and write a lot of their music, and they travel and have their own bus. Um, they played the harmonica, banjo, all those instruments. So, I've had several people inspire me. It wasn't just like one or two groups. It's some that I knew personally, either from church or school, or just, of course, the radio, like John Michael Montgomery. Dolly Parton, I'm going to kind of go up to par with current things because I'd love to meet her, by the way. But her life has inspired me because I do know people in Nashville who don't just say, hey, I know her. They actually know her. They've told me some about her. And so it's nice when you're like, oh, you really know her. Wow. Excuse me. And on top of ones, people I've met the last 6, 7 years who've known her, they've got pictures of her in their house.
Wow.
Um, and I was like, well, let me learn more about Dolly, not just because, hey, I love music and singing and writing. I like it where she's from in Tennessee. I used to go there a lot on vacation when I was probably a teenager. And I like her family style. Not only do I like her music and her as a person, I'm going to kind of just say a few things about
Yeah.
her. And it's not just because, oh, she's so famous and some of the other artists might not as be as well heard, well known. I like her style. I like how and I'll be honest, one of her books I read in a Cracker Barrel one day. I'd like to go there at least. I've lived in North End, South Carolina, so they have a lot of these stores.
Yes.
And I might go ahead and do a shout out for Cracker Barrel. They sell a lot of gospel and country CDs in there. And in spite of that, they also have books about Dolly. So this is about a year or two ago. I picked up one. I'm like, okay, Dolly's life as a child. And I read the whole thing. It's like 30 pages. I'm a fast reader. I was reading through it. I was like, what? Thinking where she grew up, from a family, not a whole lot of money. I don't hope she'll get mad at me for saying that. And I didn't either, by the way. We're hard workers in our family. Like my dad grew up on a farm and had to work hard, things like that. I can relate to Dolly because she just really hits it hard and what she went through, what she overcame, and who inspired her. Of course, I really don't play much guitar. I have one. I need to learn it, but piano has always been my thing.
No, nothing wrong
And
with that. You're
so
drawn to one specific instrument,
this,
but you're still open to learning about, how another one works. I can't fault that at all.
right. But I just like the fact how she involves her family a lot and how she, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not wrong, it was her dad who also inspired her and family, things like that. And so I'm a big family person. I have children, and matter of fact, they were singing in the car with me today, and it was kind of a noisy session, but I recorded it. It's going to go on Facebook later. It's kind of funny. Um, so I'm all about family, fun, music. Of course, I said God. What's inspired me that could take an hour or two. I won't do that. I'm kidding, but it's a lot.
Absolutely. I think one of the things I do appreciate about people like Dolly Parton is that they live their lives very low key. They're,
Yeah.
they're out there in the public eye when they have to be, but they're not always look at me, look at me. They value their privacy and live their lives in a quiet way. And I have a great deal of respect for their privacy. Um, I wish everyone felt that way, that, just because you choose to work in a setting that puts you in the public eye, I wish that, people understood and would respect that privacy, that there's a time and a
That's
place that's
right.
appropriate,
Right.
and there's a time and a place that is not appropriate. So it seems like she has done well keeping that separation as far as I can tell. So I just, yeah, yeah. But I have to admit, I don't think I've ever thought about looking at a book of hers to look at her life story. I guess that's an area that I should check
I
into.
just, well, my mother was a teacher, and I don't remember my mom actually reading any of her books. But I don't know how many Dolly has written. I will have to look into that so I don't give a wrong number. But being that I have children, I have seen at least one or two of Dolly's in a library.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's it. Not only do I like music, sing, and Dolly obviously does that and more. I'm like, okay, she really has been writing books, and one's a children's book. It's been on display, like Lebanon, Tennessee. I love the libraries there, and in Nashville, I've been to a couple.
Yeah.
I'm also self-employed. I have my own ministry. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I do where some people who've known me 10, 20, 25 years, they think, oh, she's just a mom and she does this and that. And I'm like, oh, they have no idea all this stuff I've been doing the last 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and something I'm learning, and I really am in the learning stages of this indie music scene, is that, and the guest that came on today before you, the other one who showed up for his session, explained to me, he's been in the music business since about the mid 70s. And back then, an indie musician could earn a decent living. And now, if as an indie musician, with the downloads on Spotify, you know, it's really got to be about love of the music. It's not really about the income, because the income really isn't there. You do have to have another way to support yourself, and you're doing it purely for the love of the music at this point.
That's right. That's exactly. It's where my passion's at. They always say in the world, like, follow your passion, which people love to say that, but it's really true because, I mean, the other thing is I like business. I went to school for business. My minor's in music, but I mean, really, ideally, I should have switched those. I've thought about this the last 10 years. It's a little late unless I just go get a whole nother degree, but I should have done music and then business, but it's okay because I kind of do both all the time, every week.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
if you could only merge your passions, and like if you could like merge
yeah.
those two things together and have the best of both, kind of a thing. But so, do you have any? You must have at least one album out because you have these awards you've won. Maybe you have more than one album.
I have enough songs for more than one album. I've written over 35. It's just I mean, I won't get into much of my story, but it could be a while. I have been on other podcasts where I go into some of the story that's not all music, but it's related to my music.
Okay.
It is some of the traumatic things that have happened the last 10 years of my life, but especially, well, starting a good 10, 11 years ago, and stuff consistently happened. And one of them was my parents had a house fire. People might be like, well, how did that affect your life? Well, it affected my mom, dad, their home, and stuff I was going through at the same time. And I'm talking about 2018 and 2019, those years.
Right.
So music has inspired me to follow what I love and enjoy because otherwise I probably would have been an office manager. I wanted to do that for 5 or 6 years. I'm like, well, I'm kind of doing that during the week anyway with emails and calls or papers, things like that.
Well, that's the truth of it, isn't it? No matter what you end up doing, whether it's, writing music, writing books, there's all this behind the scenes things you still have to do. You end up being an office manager anyway. You end up being playing the secretary because there's all this work to get people to notice what you've done, to find your audience base. There's so much more involved than just, hey, here's this, and now I get to walk away from it and start creating more of this. It just, if only we could just do the creative and then let everything else go automatic, but it just doesn't work that way.
I have recorded 10 songs and I was kind of interjecting how many I wrote, which it matters, but it doesn't, I guess, until it's really done and completed and people hear the product. But I know to me, still see some in my journals or notebooks and I'll be honest, of the 35, some of them are maybe halfway finished.
Okay.
And I'm not blaming it all on trauma and a house fire. I'm just saying either I didn't go finish some or I wasn't ready yet, things like that.
Yeah.
But some of them are ready. I just need to get to a studio. There's a couple for sure.
Okay. Well, we have
So yeah,
things
there's
to
that.
look forward to then. So I'm gonna ask this now instead of waiting for
What?
later. Do you have a
Okay.
must listen song out there? Like, is there something out on YouTube or something on Spotify? What is your must listen song that audience should be looking up?
Okay. Well, I depends on kind of the mood I'm in to share that because I have three or four. So I'm going to list this one, and it's not the gospel one because I feel like right now I'm going to relate more to Because I Did. It's actually called that Because I Did. And that's a
Because I
country
did.
song.
Okay.
It is just what you've heard about my life the last few minutes has summarized up that, but and then some, and then other years I haven't mentioned, which is the last 5 years. It was recorded, I'm going to say, I believe it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
Um, it is a fun song to answer people's questions. Or basically, and I'm going to summarize it. People, I did what I did because all I went through, and I did what I did. That is what the chorus is saying. I'm summarizing. I'm trying not to laugh because my fiance, and I'm not saying it just because of him. He's like, that is like he will go around with a car, the house, whenever I see him. Right now, he's in another state, but I did what, or he'll say, "That's a Kimberly. I did what I did." I go, "That's right." And then people who know me more relate to it. It's more of the business things, the business side of me. But lately, well, this is now after the fact the song's been out, but I'm saying after it's been out, I can relate now to what I wrote 4 or 5 years ago. But all that to say, it was written to answer people's questions, some ridiculous things like, why did you do that? Now, people you may know may ask you, and I'm going to kind of make you laugh. It depends on what they're asking me about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really mean a job or a job you had. We're talking like actual personal stuff. And you're thinking, okay, you don't want to be rude or nasty, but you also don't want them to know the real truth. So I came up with that song when I was very stressed. I'll be honest. So we're talking between 2018, 2019, 2020 is when I was really writing it. And I remember the pandemic had just started and I was about finished with it. So I actually recorded it way before the pandemic was over. I was like, well, if I'm going to get this out and really get my message, let me start now. I know really, but it has been on a chart, the World Indie Music Chart 2 years ago. It was at like number
All
76,
right.
and I was very happy.
Yeah.
Um, I think it needs to be way higher, but that's not really up to me. But I'm just like I remember it. I'm probably going to within the next year or so do something else similar, and I'm hoping to create it to be a better song. I'll go ahead and tell you, Stephen Oakes sang with me. He's not that I know of now. He's not really an artist where he's out performing, but he has a regular job just like most of us. But he helped me with some guitar in the studio. He's best friends with a producer, and we're talking like 5 years ago. And I said, Stephen, why don't you sing with me? And he's like, are you serious? I said, yeah, you've already just sang it through twice. And I don't know what you think. I want you to sing it and I'll do the backup vocals. So I did. So we did. It was
That
fun.
is. That's so good. Well, it sounds like an interesting song. I'll have to make it a point to listen to it later. And I think that so it's called "Because I Did" is the title of the song. Okay,
That's
so
right.
we're all jotting that down. We're all going to be looking to listen to that, or download it on our Spotify's or whatever music that we're going to
Okay.
download
Thank
that.
you.
So very cool on that. So talk to me a teeny bit about your journey. At some point, your path intersected with Caden Gordon because that's how you and I have connected. Tell me a little bit about that path.
I mean, I've been writing almost 9 years, and like I mentioned, piano over 30. But as far as related to Caden, I don't remember a specific person how we met, but it was online. And it wasn't really, but just within a few weeks or months, I was paying him to help me with promotions. And um, I mean, this is before I say like this become famous for him. Maybe I will be, that'd be great. But right now, Caden seems to be pretty famous, especially in Nashville. He's had a lot of trips there this year and last year to specifically help like Mission Road and some other artists, things like that, and billboards and charting. So, but anyway, before he was doing that this year, he and I were, I would say, casual friends, some phone calls, we laugh, and I said, hey, and I don't think he'll get upset, but I did volunteer to help with a few of his papers to check them. Let me
Oh,
clarify
for his
here on the air.
college. Yeah.
And the reason being was I did go to college 5 years and I did do a lot of research and not research development, not that, but we're talking research papers. And being that he was about to finish college and maybe halfway through, he and I didn't always talk about music, but that is mostly what we did, of course. Sometimes it was family and college. I said, look, I have already lived in a couple states, a few jobs, and he respected me and I respected him. If he said no, that was fine, but he let me. And so that was another thing we talked about. And getting up to the current situation, it's mostly now just strictly music, but I don't want to just be rude and be like, hey, you're just doing music, good talking to you, goodbye. I mean, we will talk about family and kids and life, but he's very focused like me, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yes.
So we're on a call. We're not normally now going to be on the phone 30 minutes saying, how was your day? It was a stressful week in Nashville. We just get
Down to
straight to music
business.
or
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah. Well, he's a busy guy, and you're obviously busy, and yeah. So sometimes it's just about yes, there's time for friendly, but sometimes it's just about let's get down and
Yes.
get this accomplished.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say being focused because I've had this new thing for, I'm going to say 2 years where, I mean, ideally I'll see people in town or shopping or wherever. And it's not that I'm trying to be rude or mean. I'm like, well, I may have to be getting my child in less than 2 or 3 hours, and I still have like four things to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to sit there and spend 30 minutes saying hi to someone, there goes three, two things I could have just done.
Absolutely.
But of course, I would do want to be there for people. I'm pretty social. My mom was a teacher. My dad did sales and insurance, so we have a lot of talking in the family.
Yeah. Gift of gab.
But I normally want to do music anyway,
Yeah.
most time.
So one of the things, because one of the things that led to me becoming coming into the world of doing podcasts was that I'm a writer. I write books. And so my mind is constantly like, ooh, idea, idea. And so I've got this constant
Nice.
notebook of,
That's awesome.
ooh, this is idea. Ooh, this is idea. And I'm curious for you as because ultimately you also are a writer, although you bend your writing toward music. Does that happen to you as you're running errands and do these ideas pop into your head, these inspirations? Does it work the same for you as you're coming up with ideas for songs?
I'm going to say the inspiration could hit at any time. Like, I have met people in Nashville and even had a few classes. We're talking like 5 years ago. I'm going to get to your question, but
Yeah.
they'll say, have a specific time, like every morning at 8 a.m. I'm like, 8 a.m. I'm usually getting out of bed then. But I might be up till midnight. Well, not all the time. For me, it hasn't always been a certain time of day that sounds nice in the real world or at work, like from, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you're going to be writing, creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's going to have to totally be in the moment. So
Yes.
I could be in the car. I have written, well, I'm going to say I've gotten about 20% of my ideas while driving the vehicle. Okay.
That's usually where I do my best thinking too.
Not always at the stoplight. I could be driving an hour to Raleigh, which is an hour and a half away. Um, but then there's times I've been at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, by the ocean,
Yep.
because we live 3 hours from there. And I can actually think of a few places I've been where I finished songs, and one of them was Virginia for my song Every Moment. And that's another what I hope to be one of my hit songs, by the way.
I'm gonna be making a note about that one
So
too. Every moment, it's on my list.
I remember being in Virginia about to really finish that one up, and we're talking a few years ago. That's now been out, I think, 5 years as well. Every moment, because I did came out within a year of each other. I just remembered.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, what song came out with?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's not really a set time of day for me because I'm a night person, and there have been times I'm not asleep till 1 a.m. But with children, I can't always do that. Of course not. So, but I'm grateful for my mother. I've got to interject. She is very helpful with them a lot of evenings, quite a bit. And let's see, inspiration will hit me. Sometimes it's the mood I'm in. Okay. I'm a real person. I may not even be in the best mood. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go write ideas down. And then I came up with something. Um, as I get to know you, some music people have known me long enough. I may share something about a courtroom experience, and I'm careful then what I say because I do some legal things on the side. We're just gonna leave it at that. It's good stuff. And no, I mean I knew quite a bit with legal cases, so I'm like, let me write stuff down that people are really going through. They can relate to,
Yeah.
and this is real stuff that could actually affect their income or their week or their year. So that's some other part of things I'm doing. I know you didn't ask me, but I have written most of a book. I've written over 20 chapters, so that's not all music. I
Okay.
did that 2 years ago. We could talk about that some more later, another
Bring it
time if you
on.
want.
Bring it on. We've got the time. Do you have a title for this book yet?
I do, but I'm going to tell you it is a big secret,
Oh,
so I won't even tell my parents and a
okay.
few people.
Yeah.
So once I
So
do,
we'll
I
call it a
put the
teaser.
title.
So hopefully you'll come back when the book is about to be published, or maybe shortly after it is published. But so book on the horizon. And are you allowed to tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Yeah,
Any kind
yeah,
of
I can do that.
okay.
And I'm trying to remember because I can't remember exactly, but I think it's 21 chapters, so it's more than 5 or 10 pages. So when you said writing, I was like, let me at least interject that real quick
Yeah.
because hopefully more by next year you're going to hear a lot, and I
Good.
want to hear more about it too. I know what I went through to write this stuff. These are pretty much real stories. These are real. These are not imaginary ones you read in the library. I'm kidding. Like some of the there's all different genres of course, songs and books too. A lot of it is getting to the real things that have happened. I'm talking 20 years, not just 5 or 6 years. So as I make that face, some is a conglomeration. That's a big word of some jobs I've had, marriage, a few things in a few churches that some are good and some are not. And it's not all a negative book, but it is a reality. I sound like a preacher, but it's a reality. Some things like you go through, or me, or somebody that you can't ignore. Now, it doesn't mean the whole world's got to hear every detail of your life for 20 years. They don't need to. That's the nice thing about a closed door. You can close that door, and that kind of relates to because I did that song I told you about, but this is way bigger than a song. I felt the need to write it because I used to joke around with a few people like, yeah, that could be like 5 books right there, or that could be 3 books. And after joking about it, talking about that going on and on 3 years, I was like, I think I need to just do this. And there was a time, this is right after the pandemic, thank God, when kids are back in school and things are a little better in the economy, at least for me as a mom and musician. I made time to write it. It didn't take 3 or 4 weeks. I wish it did take longer, way longer. And I'll go ahead and tell you now that I actually did do some sit time writing. And it was, I say therapy for me, but it was fun and I was focused. I did this a lot between, I'm going to say the time of night was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So those hours.
Very focused writing time.
I will definitely not say it, and even some family knows because they're family, but it's just because of what happened in early 2023 and some the year before. That was not a divorce or job loss, not that. Okay, something else had happened that really upset me. Okay, I'll just say that on the air, and that really didn't inspire me to go ahead and just get this started.
Sometimes it takes
I had
something like that to push you, sometimes it takes something negative to push you to do something positive. Life is weird that way.
it just after me joking about it with some like just people I'd meet or strangers or then boyfriend, mom, dad. Oh, that could take 4 books. Well, then after something that I won't mention kind of put me not over the edge, not that word, but it put me to the next level of frustration and upsetness and anger type thing. I began to write this out about
It's kind of like a form of
and
therapy.
I did write about some of my songs. I mean, not all of them, but I think most of them were mentioned in the book.
Well, good.
I remember like, and this is where I'm writing every moment because this happened. So,
So it's
yeah.
almost like a little bit of a memoir combined with some other features, it sounds like.
I still think it's an autobiography because these are real. I can tell you this much, and I won't say what job or where because I don't want to be in trouble on that
Yeah.
in some county by no means.
Nope.
There was a certain job I was at almost 5 years, not quite 5 years. I remember writing because this came to me like that, like yesterday. I remember writing 2 whole chapters related to that job and things that happened, which relates to me now, Kimberly Ward now, because I can think of a few things that happened or people said to me, mostly negative, but some was good. And I guess you could say that also put me over the next level of I'm doing music, what I enjoy. Um, it was some very real stuff that happened at that job. I'll just say that people have to wait and read it one day. So
Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, you took these, what sound like perhaps negative experiences, and you turned them into a positive. That's what it sounds like you've done, which is exactly the best way to handle those things. So I'm sure we'll all look forward to, first of all, hearing the announcement about this book, learning the
yeah,
title, and hopefully getting to read that. So very cool for you to share that with us. So I'm trying to think. What about other than this book coming up? Do you have any goals? Maybe going out on tour, for example.
I do want to be more of a performing artist. I have not been as much the last, I'm going to say 7 years. Now I have been to Nashville and sang a lot there. And I mean, Georgia, there's been some churches in North Carolina and South Carolina. I've actually performed in 5 states. Virginia's another state. And it hasn't all been churches. That has been most of it. There's been a lot of places and things like that. But my goals, that's going to take a whole hour. So I'm just kidding, but I'll make it short. So I'm a very self motivated person anyway. But let's just say, since some things in my life have now happened, because the reality is it is what it is. It's happened. So I want to make the most of it. One day I do want to have my own podcast. I was wanting to start that during the pandemic, and for me, it was probably definitely not a good idea because all this stuff. I was homeschooling my children with my mom. Thank God for her, we were doing partnership every day, switching kids out. So I'm not.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say, I still do want to have my own podcast one day. Author. There's more children's things I have worked on and put off because of life or money or just didn't happen yet. I mean, I have written a couple children's songs too.
Which is very cool. I think children's songs are wonderful. I'm kind of
Excuse me.
I love a broad spectrum of music. I love such a wide variety. I'm very eclectic in my taste, so even including children's songs. So it's pretty hard to go wrong with me as far as the music out there. But go ahead, you have a
They've
thought.
inspired me. They've inspired me. They're way over the age of 4 and 5 now, but they're not like 18. We're not talking older. We're talking like in the middle years, ages 10 to 13 in
Yeah,
that time frame now.
yeah.
So yeah, they'll be pretty vocal about some of my songs or what I do, or mommy, why aren't you doing this? And I'm like thinking, I didn't ask my mom that when I was 10 years old or 9. I didn't say, Mom, why aren't you doing this? And
Yeah.
but it's fun.
It is. It is. Now,
Life has been a journey for me. So as you can tell already, I've put a lot of this into music, and then of course the book I mentioned. There's a lot I've put in there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I do think if you decide to do a podcast, and I can only guess maybe music is the direction you'd be going with a podcast. Maybe I'm wrong there, but it just seems like since that's your interest, you would have a definite advantage over someone like me who doesn't know anything about the industry, because you would probably have just in your back pocket so many questions I would never even think to ask. So I look forward to one day hearing that you've put out a podcast and hearing what questions that you're asking your guests. I'll be a very curious observer when that day comes, if you decide to pursue that.
Um, I'm probably not going to do this 50% on family and the home environment, but I'm going to do some of that because some of the jobs I've have had to do with that. Like I worked at a college 2 years. Um, I mean, this has been a while since I worked for some county offices, but I've worked for a couple. And this is right before I was really writing all my music, but except for one of the jobs, I was like, my daughter was 2 years old then. I had already been writing 5 or 6 songs by then. um, I mean, there's a lot I have to say about home and family environments. That would be for another time, another podcast I've started. And not just, oh, they're having a bad day. Why is my child screaming and yelling? I mean, it could be a lot. My son has autism. I'm going to tell you, I did not let that out into the public and didn't talk about it or share it with anybody the last, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years. I mean, unless it was family or neighbors or church people or something. I'm a little more vocal with that now and okay with it. And I've had to deal with what I had to handle. So
Absolutely.
accept things in my life and accept things and deal with things. There we go. It's the way of saying that. So.
And that is a good thing. And I don't know if it's just because I've been talking with people in this venue and therefore come across more people than usual, but I have spoken with more people who either have a family member or who they themselves have struggled with autism. I have met more people with that similar story just in the past 6 months than I ever have in my life. And my the second episode that I actually did on my show was this amazing lady out near Charlotte, North Carolina, who worked with children in school who were autistic, but then later in life, she actually built a business around basically creating jobs for these children who were very highly qualified, wonderful employees that were overlooked. and not as a charity type of thing, but giving them an actual paycheck, giving them real work that anyone was capable of, but that they were more capable of because they don't get bored. They are good at doing repetitive tasks where anyone else would their work would actually go downhill because, oh, I'm bored, I'm going to change the way that is done instead of doing it correctly consistently. She was an amazing interview. Yeah.
I'm going to mention something that's to everybody, it's not that funny. To me, it's funny because I have not really my entire life have not been a morning person. Now, obviously, I've had jobs I have to be at 8 o'clock or 8:30 or college classes way back when. I'll go ahead and tell you that my son he's older than 8 or 9, but he's not that old. So now where we're staying consistent, being on time is really big to him. Now it is to me. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to take an act of God to really, and inspiration from my son. It really helped. It does help when he's with me and I'm with him.
Yeah.
Does it? And I'm sitting here like, I don't even have to be on time to some of these functions. I don't mean like always a school play. I'm just talking about, I'm like, oh, God, help me. So I don't lie to him. That's not a good idea anyway. Don't do that to your children. But he will help keep me on track with the time. And he is going to remind me 5 or 10 times. I don't mean just once either.
Yeah.
Well, so if you tell him you're going to be somewhere at 12 noon, you better be there at 12 noon.
See, that's a definite bonus. I mean,
it's a repetition. This is going to happen for him. So
yeah. See, I mean, there's some great things about that. So, you have to look at that as a gift. Someone who cares enough about being punctual, about being that, on time. That's a gift. So we have to view it that way. And when you break it all down, there's not a single one of us on this planet who doesn't have some kind of obstacle or issue that we deal with, right? It's just varying degrees. So.
Right, but I don't know if many, unless their children don't care, like, oh yeah, let's just get there, Mom. Where are we going now? Well, my son is to the point where you had better be there because the whole family, like his sister, whoever's in the van, of course, I have my own vehicle. My mom's got hers and things like that. But whoever's in the vehicle with him is going to hear about it. We need to get there.
But setting a good example for the others, and I bet the others make it a point then to try to be on time so they don't hear about it, right? Not necessarily a bad thing.
I know I used to think a little negative and this is getting on my nerves, but now it's like, this is great because I don't really need my alarm clock. We're going to be out the door. Let's go. It's time to leave,
Exactly. One of the things that I was experimenting with for myself earlier this year, I am not a music artist. I wish I had the talent. I honest to goodness do, but I don't. But I can write and I can rhyme and I can, I was doing some research because I stumbled on accidentally into the idea of thinking about music being like computer programming and creating songs to create in me the thoughts I wanted to have in my head and the behaviors I wanted to create by that music computer programming. So I'm thinking about this like with the situation you're describing with the being on time, that there's probably some songs, there's probably some music in that something to help the family.
They're big on, well, you probably already know this, and anyone who's been around, could be children, teens, or adults with autistic things going on. I say things because there's 5 or 6 levels of the autism. Not just the time, but it's also the repetition. For the music side, that could be a whole nother hour session, but I could go there if you wanted to. But I'm just saying, I can hear him because he will want to sing the song. If he likes it, he's going to want to hear it 2 or 3 times, not just one.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's in the mood for it, he might not be in the mood to do that.
Sure.
And I could see this going really good to help children. You may have heard music as therapy. A lot of people like to throw stuff out because I've had it dumped on me from numerous people in the last 10 years. Well, music is therapy and writing is therapy. And I'm sitting here like, people quit saying all this stuff.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I'm being
Mhm.
funny, but it
Mhm.
is. But journaling in your journal can be therapy,
Absolutely.
but it's
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and
yeah.
I don't mean
So
anything by it. I did that for myself
yeah, yeah,
because I felt like I needed something tailored for me. And so I
right,
wrote those songs
right.
for me, and then I couldn't find a music artist, so I used AI technology to actually create the song for me. But that was what I did for me. Customized music. But only because I had lacked the talent to actually play the piano or do the guitar or whatever the case. But you know, but yes.
Well, I mean, I want to say too, it can be a hobby,
Mhm.
which you already know that, Zoe. But I'm saying like some people would. I think they just come up with that in Walmart or the doctor's office
Mhm.
or wherever because they're trying to be nice, like,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, music is therapy, and I'm like. But then I'm like, well, look, I'd like to make money at this too. And I didn't always say that to people. It sounds rude, but it's just kind of funny. Like, but yeah, I want to do something besides just write this.
Well, right, exactly. I mean, that's what we all would love
Right.
that, right? We would like to I would love to sell, enough books that I could do that for a living, right? You would like to sell enough music, enough records that you could do that for a living. We would love that. And,
Go full time. I'm not quite full time, but I know I'm getting there on a few
exactly.
things. So
So, like my brother always says, it's good to have goals. So,
that's right. That's
yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it never hurts to dream. You can never dream too big. You know, if you as long as you keep dreaming and as long as you keep working toward it, you just never know what you might just manage to accomplish that you maybe never imagined you actually would accomplish. But you have to have those
I
dreams
agree.
first. So,
And it does help with the right connections on not everything, but some things because some of like there's not a price you can put on, like I said, just writing music or you said writing a book. Not everyone wants to do that and not everyone can do that, and that's okay. I mean, I have no desire to go play football and be on a soccer team,
I'm with
and
you.
I'm a stand.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't be good at soccer after 2 months. I might be okay, but that's not what I want to do 20 years. I mean,
Right.
like you
Exactly.
said, having goals, what we want to do.
Exactly. But the one thing is for certain, if we don't dream, if we don't even set a goal, something to work toward, we will never accomplish anything. You just drift through life, sitting back, watching others drift, do accomplish their goals. We have to have something that brings us joy, something that we do that we are
That's
excited
true.
about. And even if it never brings us a dime, we hope it does. But even if it doesn't, do we love it? Are we doing it because we enjoy it, that we love it, and we would do it no matter what? I hope that we love it that much that no matter what, we'll still want to do it. For me, writing will do that. Even
Yes,
if
we
no one
are.
ever reads it, I'm doing it because I love it. I hope for you.
Exactly. I was gonna say you talked about goals. There's personal goals, and then there's like a workplace goal and things, a family goal. But mine, most of the time, what I'm doing is personal goals all the time, like every day, probably. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting toward the end of our time together, so I do have the random question from the previous guest. Oh, let me do one thing real quick before we go there. Do you have a
Okay.
website?
Yes, I do.
What is your website?
Okay, it's part of my initials. It's
Mm-hmm.
www.kjwardmusic.com.
So it's kjwardmusic.com.
Yes, ma'am. All my songs are on Amazon and Spotify, YouTube channel, and the digital outlets, of course, too.
Cool. We wanted to make sure we captured that for our audience. So kjwardmusic.com. Of course, World Wide Web is understood. So we want to make sure we captured that. And now we can get into the random question. So the random question that was left by our previous guest is, who's the one person you would never want to have dinner with and why?
Oh Lord, this isn't going to be a common name where anyone knows. I'm going to change the person's name
That's fine.
just for the
We'll
sake
never
of,
know.
um, you know. just because I don't want to be in trouble.
You can even do initials. We'll never know.
Because the questions aren't about who you really want to, like Dolly Parton. They're saying who you never want to
Right. I
have
thought it was
dinner
interesting
with,
that that's
right?
what he chose. I'm like, really? Never? Okay. Well,
I mean, this is going to sound a little funny but harsh, and I didn't have to think too long about it. It's going to be one of my former supervisors. I'm going to change the name.
To protect
Won't know who it is. I've
Yep.
lived in 3 states, so people who know me aren't going to know which state this is. Anyway, I grew up in North Carolina, but they won't know her. The person, let me see, change her name to
Okay. Yep.
comments, and we're done. It was things that I'm going to try to be nice here on the air. It was things that really affected me emotionally. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and maybe I need to break it down like this. Someone, and this could help anybody. I'm just being honest here, but someone who is not where they're helping you and like, woo, thank you God for saying that, but someone who's affected your emotions in a way that has helped. They're not going to damage you, because I don't like to speak that into the atmosphere, but they could potentially have really damaged someone on purpose, intentionally. That sounds like a serious conversation here, but and it really affected me emotionally. And I'm going to say at work and home, it wasn't just like, oh God, why are they acting like this? Or and let me make you laugh, but it really did happen. This person who was a former supervisor didn't always do this, but they had a habit of coming in. I mean, and these are doors that close, okay? And they just walk right into your office. Now, you would think that's great to some people. That's fine. And that's fine because they can do what they want. And it's not that we're hiding stuff. I just think that's like, wow, it kind of puts your nerves on edge. Like, what's going on? Are they trying to find you do things?
Right. Exactly. What's the motive?
I mean, I feel like that's a whole nother level of topic, but someone who's affected me emotionally, but they did a lot. It was mostly the words they spoke, and sometimes it was some things they did. I'm from North Carolina, and normally speaking, you just don't walk into like not someone's house, but someone's job and just barge in. Okay, we're gonna call it barging in.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, unless it's like a search warrant, that's gonna be funny, but it's really not funny. That's not what we're doing, but the person began to affect me emotionally, and because I had worked there almost 5 years, and it really hurt me. I just decided I no longer want to be involved in this job anymore.
Sure.
And I thought, I mean, I don't have a problem saying that's who I would not want to go to dinner with or breakfast or any meal. They upset me. They weren't, I'll be honest, they weren't very positive. Like, Kimberly, I know you're new here, or you have moved here, or whatever's going on in your life, but we love having you here. I wasn't really told that.
Yeah.
And not that every job you have to love everybody, but I'm just like, I could have felt better at this place, and I'm going to be done, I promise. But I wasn't feeling acceptance there.
Yeah. Sounds like maybe a
So
little bit
other people may have.
toxic. Yeah.
Yes, that's a great word for it. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And who could blame you? I mean, a toxic work atmosphere, someone you report to, who would want to have a meal with such a person? No. I don't think there's a single person in the audience who would feel differently.
Yeah.
So, did you have an
That's right. That's
opportunity
correct.
to think about a question you would like to ask for the next guest?
Yeah, I did. Let me see. A random question. It's not going to be something like who inspired you, because we get stuff like that all the time. Let me think. I'm going to ask, what did you enjoy? Okay, let me get the specific. What did you enjoy doing most as a child or teenager? It could be a child or teenager. And then I'm just gonna leave it at that, because for me, I know it was music, singing, like bike riding. That's all a symbol of freedom. And I didn't think about that then, but I do now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
maybe people go back to their childhood, and of course I have kids too, but I'm just saying, for me, I remember some of my happiest years was ages 6 to 17, like happy years.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone has a happy childhood, and that's very sad.
That is true.
But I think if they go back to what they enjoy doing.
Yeah. I think that's a fair question, and it relates to people, whether they're artists, writers, business owners, regardless of what who I'm interviewing. That's one of those universal questions that will apply no matter who I'm speaking with. So it's a good solid random question, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna stop the recording in just a second here. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to having you back once we have your book information about that. Here we go.
Thank you, Zoe. I'm
Thank
excited.
you.